YouTube channel, so no reason to wait. We'll go over Ulgrax first boss. It's pretty dang simple. We will be using slightly different strategies from this video from testing, but yeah, so basically the difference is on pull, we would pull the boss to the edge instead of in the middle of the room. For two reasons. One, it appears that the boss, when he spawns webs all around the place, he actually spawns them in like a radius from himself. So by putting him on the edge, he will take up less of the room with webs. If you kept him in the middle, he would just spawn them everywhere randomly, and you'd have half the room covered, which is kind of annoying. And two, in worst case scenario, the boss does a group soak that after you soak, the people who are in it get pulled to the boss over like 6 seconds. In the worst case, if you pull him to the edge, then you have as far as you can possibly be if you want to be like on the other side of the platform to do the soak. Obviously that's not necessary, but technically it gives you more room. So just something to keep in mind. We're just taking him in the middle because, you know, beta. First thing he does is that basically one of his heaviest damage abilities, like 5 seconds into the fight, it's Venomous Lash. Just does AoE on everybody. The initial hit is the harder hitting part, and then there's a dot, and then you get the webs. So as you can see, they're kind of in a random radius around the boss. That's why we're going to be taking him on the edge. Key thing to know here, on heroic, if you stand in a web, so either right when it spawns or run into it afterwards, you get rooted. On mythic, this will stun you for 30 seconds. It is a very good idea to not try to greed casts when these webs come out. Like the moment you see the circle, just get out of it, because the moment it becomes active, probably even like before the visual fully goes away, you will get stunned on mythic. And that's just like troll. It's a very obvious mechanic. Just don't stand in it. But like casters beware, definitely get out of this mechanic right when it appears. Don't try and greed and finish your last cast. You will get stunned.
DK broken?
Yeah, DK Pally,
IBF and everything.
yeah, Turtle, all that stuff still works. Cloak. On go ahead.
You know, so with tanking him on the edge, do you still get the same total amount of webs, or like if they're spawning near him, are you still getting the same amount but just cutting it? Cutting like the area that they're in so there's more overlapping, or? Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. If it does seem like it's just totally effing us with space, we can obviously just switch back to the middle. It's really not a huge difference either way. The idea just being that hopefully taking him on the edge covers less of the total room in webs, because it makes intermission easier if there's less webs randomly everywhere. But that is a good point. He may just spawn all of the webs he was going to spawn just in a tighter area, which basically would leave us no place to stand. It may not be that bad, even if that happens, because you end up clearing the webs with a debuff anyway. But it's a good point to bring up, and something that we'll have to pay attention to on like first pull.
In Kalamazi's video for this, they said they were spawning on the outside and then just fizzling, but obviously that was beta, so it might not be the case anymore. Yeah. No idea how it'll actually work. But yeah, so the webs can be cleared, or at least they could be, by all your usual clear things: Turtle, AMS, Bubble, maybe even Freedom. I don't know for sure on that one. On Mythic, I said they stun you, but they also like stun you with like a spike sort of thing. So you have to be either broken out of the spike or live for like 30 seconds or something like that. So the annoying thing is on Mythic, even if you clear them with like Bubble, it still spawns the spike. But I mean, like, hello, pad damage, yay. But it'll like clutter up everybody's raid frames with just spikes without people in them, and then it'll get confusing to see like if somebody did get spiked or not. But yeah, you don't really need to clear them unless like something goes wrong, because as you'll see, he will give a mechanic, Digestive Acid, that gives a certain number of players a green debuff. When this explodes, it will clear any webs in your circle. That's how you clear webs. You'll see it go off here. Boom. They just cleared up all the webs. So the idea being...
Have that and you get stunned, will it break yourself out?
Nope, it will not. I tested.
Okay.
So don't do that.
It was like if you accidentally stepped in it or something, you know.
Yep.
I
Or, like,
watched
if
a
someone gets
video
stuck.
that a shaman had it and it dispelled him.
It did
I
not
don't know if
dispel
that's
me.
been- I don't know if it got changed, but yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't risk it. There's no point. It would just be like a, hey, that's nice in case you make an accident.
I guess we'll find out when we see it.
Yeah.
Check this out.
But like, there's really no point to ever hit a web by yourself unless you're like purposefully clearing. So yeah, the idea being that you have the webs come out, you have the debuffs come out, you clear webs in a path directly to the boss. You don't really care about webs anywhere else besides whatever path you decide to use. So for us, that would be like from the edge to the middle of the room. You're clearing that path because the boss is going to come out with the group soak mechanic targeted on one player. There it is. So that player is fully free to move with it. But the idea is you run away from the boss to where the group soak is going to be. The people who are supposed to be in the soak get in the soak. They get pulled to the boss over 6 seconds. There is a higher melee uptime strategy, which we currently have in our raid plan. We'll have to see how it actually works out, specifically for Mythic. But it is this. So you actually have the group soak basically just a little bit off the boss on the far edge, so melee can still be hitting the boss until like the very last second. And then right when the group soak goes off and you start getting pulled in, everyone gates to the middle, everyone who's in the group soak. And then you start running against the group soak after you've gated. The idea behind this is it just keeps melee uptime on the boss for longer. Yeah, just sort of a DPS optimization.
They like increase the radius of like when you stand under him, because at least on heroic I could still just sit there and melee him while we were getting pulled in.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see the animation here in a second after this soak. Obviously on beta we were just soaking in the back. But you can kind of see this circle. It's like pretty tight under him. It's actually like inside the hitbox. The danger being,
the hitbox.
Yeah, the danger being that like on Mythic, I think the pull is harder. Actually, like I know the pull is harder on Mythic. I don't think, I don't think you can just run against it by yourself. Maybe with like a wind rush, but I don't even know if that's true. But I mean, if it's possible, then you can just keep the group so close, melee can get hit and melee can not gate and keep DPSing. That'd be better, but it's probably not necessary to do that on the off chance that you just get killed, because like, why bother? But yeah, that's all of the mechanics in P1. The reason I say that heroic is different is because heroic actually doesn't have the debuff that like stops you from soaking multiple of these in one phase. So on heroic, we can actually just have ranged and healers do it, and they can just be standing in middle like the whole time. So melee never actually have to do this on heroic. Hooray for you, melee. It's your one fight that's actually kind of good. We will obviously see if that changes going forward as well, but at least currently in the Dungeon Journal, only Mythic has the debuff where like you can only take one of these a phase. Reason being is like everything happens twice in the phase. So you've basically seen every mechanic, and then it's just going to repeat all of those mechanics in that same order again. So he's going to spawn more webs right here. He's going to put out more debuffs to clear webs. He's going to do his AoE mechanic. There you go. And then he'll do another group soak. So on Mythic, you'll have to rotate the entire raid half and half. On Heroic, you can just have ranged do it. Any questions about that?
Did you deal with it or test yourself or anything actually getting devoured by him and like how that functions?
No.
Because it's physical damage until it's canceled, and so I'm wondering if you can like bop through it. And so that's my curiosity, really.
Where's the actual like mechanic ID?
Reverse contest.
No, that's the group soak into the pull, but it doesn't actually say the devour part there.
Yeah, I was looking at the abilities on what it was saying. It was like you just get chewed up, basically.
I don't know if we ever actually tested anybody purposefully getting pulled in.
I don't know if there was the log when I did the boss, and I'm pretty sure I stood inside of it, and I always say I was playing tank, so I don't think it mattered. But it's unfortunate that I couldn't get my logs to work for it.
Oh, interesting. I don't know if this is true in the latest beta build because beta hasn't opened up today, but at least in Live's version, you don't need a minimum number of players to soak this on Heroic. That's only true on Mythic. So theoretically, if an immune class gets this on Heroic, they can just immune it and they'll be fine. On Mythic, that is not true. It takes 5 players. If 5 people don't get in it, boss gets a 250% damage increase. This is also the debuff to where you can't take 2 of these in the same phase, but those don't seem to be here on Heroic, so maybe that's true, maybe it's not.
At least on Heroic testing, everybody soaked, every group soaked.
Yeah, we didn't even bother to try to single immune because we kind of figured it would be changed. But it'd be a nice quality of life if it's not changed and a hunter or a mage gets it. Any other questions for the P1? All right, so intermission. After boss does his second soak and pull, I think he like stands around for a little bit. And then he is going to cast Hulking Crash. Yep, which is a knockback. I think it does fall off damage, if I remember right. Yes, it does do fall off damage. It won't actually kill you if you're even close to it, as long as you pop a defensive. So melee could just stand here and keep hitting the boss the entire time. Our boss will be on the edge while he's casting this. He jumps to the middle always. So if we are tanking on the edge, that means he's going to jump to middle, and when he jumps, he's going to knock back everybody. Do not get knocked off the edge. Do not get knocked into webs. Pretty simple.
Probably an easy gate.
Yeah, if you didn't use the gate for the actual suck, that's a good gate. The other potentially really good gate is during intermission, which we'll get to. But there's the knockback. Then the boss is going to cast some more stuff. Standing still, you can be DPSing this whole time. This doesn't actually do damage. At least, like, according to all of the logs that I saw, that ability doesn't do damage. It just kind of looks bad. We'll see if that's true on live. But you can also be DPSing him the whole time that he does this. He kind of just creates a pool and disappears. Now, this is intermission. So this is Mythic intermission. Heroic intermission is slightly different. So the boss is going to be charging through the room. You can see the portal where he's going to end. These little orbs show you what direction he's going to be going. But you'll see the boss go woo across the room. He's got a spawning portal. He's got an ending portal. Don't be in the line. That's pretty obvious. What you also see is all of these eggs. So on Mythic, all of the eggs spawn on one edge of the room. So you can see here, they're all over here. On Heroic, that's not true. And that's a little bit more unfortunate on Heroic because on Mythic, wherever these eggs spawned, the boss is going to finish intermission on the exact opposite side of the room. So he would finish intermission over here on this edge. That's where he's going to spawn. That's really good to know because the strategy on Mythic is actually going to be stand across the room close to where the boss is going to spawn at the end and wait to let all the ads walk to you. That's like really important. You do not want to kill ads far as fuck away from the boss. That is going to drastically slow down intermission unless you're only killing like 1 or 2 and people are picking up the thing that they drop immediately after. But basic overall strategy is do not kill ads unless they are close to the boss. So during intermission, boss is going to be spawning portals and flying around. Ads are going to be slowly staggering spawned. You're just going to be wanting to wait for them to come to you. Every time the boss charges through or near ads, they get feared, potentially resetting their aggro table. Don't die. Wait for them to come to you. Wait for them to come to you. They will eventually get across the room. It will be annoying. It will be slow. You will be pissed off that you're sitting here not doing damage. That's where the boss spawns. The reason you do not want to be killing any ads, the small ads, you might want to kill big ads just because they'll be doing AoE damage during this time that they're up. So you might want to be single targeting big ads during this. is that when they die, they drop all of these. Let's see if we can see them. All of these little guts when they die. You have to bring all of these guts to the boss and feed them to the boss. Otherwise, the boss is doing continual ramping AoE damage throughout the intermission once he spawns. So you do not want to put them as far away as we did, because now we have to go from over here all the way to over here where the boss is. We also have to walk around a bunch of webs. And on Mythic, what was it? Each one was worth 4. So you had to turn in a total of 25, I think it was. So everyone in the raid had to grab at least 1, and then at least 5 people had to go back again. And if you have to have basically like anybody have to go back really far, that's an extremely large waste of time. Watching people who did this in testing and actually do it in testing, if you killed all of the ads right here versus over there, you got out of intermission like 3 or 4 stacks lower on the boss. It's like insanely faster to actually wait for the ads to come to you. It doesn't really seem like it because you're not doing damage the whole time, but it is way, way faster because of this shit with people running back and forth over and again. You do not want to have to do this.
Did they change it? The feeding the boss had a cast time. Is that still a thing?
I don't know. It still was in testing. Also in testing, the boss would melee anybody who was close to him. It appears that got fixed, hopefully. But just be careful. Make sure there's a tank that's the closest to the boss.
Has like a 1.5 second cast time to feed him.
Yeah.
It's really annoying.
They've also like changed at times whether the ads get feared by the boss or not. Like, I don't think currently it says that the ads get feared if they're close to the boss. They did on Mythic test or on beta testing. I don't know if that'll be true or not. If they remove that fear thing, that'll be nice because that's just sort of an annoyance. It doesn't really do anything helpful. Also, if they removed that fear thing, so the reason that you didn't want to kill them directly on top of the boss is because they would constantly be feared away from the boss while you're trying to kill them. But if they remove the fear, you can just wait for the boss to spawn, because when he spawns, he summons or he creates the giant purple circle. That one actually does do damage. The one that he spawns at. It should be coming up soon. But yeah, the one that he spawns at actually does do damage. So you can't stand directly on top of where he's going to spawn, but you can stand like 20 yards away. But if they did remove the thing where the boss fears ads that are close to him, after he spawns, you can just pull all of the ads right on top of the boss, kill them all, feed them all immediately, and you're done. You'll be able to get out of intermission the fastest out of any raid team. And you want to get out of intermission quickly because during intermission, the boss takes no damage. So the actual ads that spawn on heroic, there's only one. It's the small ads. So there's actually no big ads that need to be killed. So there's absolutely no reason to kill ads early. On Mythic, there's 2. There's a small ad and a big ad. The big ad does a cast uninterruptible AoE damage on 5 players. It's a weird choice. 8 players. On 8 players. This increases damage by 10% every time you cast it. It's not interruptible. It's not stunnable. You just have to kill the ads. So on Mythic, it might be worth it to kill like the first big ad that spawns relatively quickly, no matter where it is, and just have people pick up its guts and start moving to the boss. But it may or may not be necessary depending on, I don't know, how the tuning is, how good we can heal. I believe on testing, picking up the guts actually did have a timer for how long you could hold them, but it wasn't on debuffs or buff frames. I believe you had a 30-second timer from the moment you picked up a guts, which is a problem if you kill them very far away and you kill a big ad early and people have to pick up the guts so that they don't have to run very far later. It might actually time out before the boss is able to be fed. So that's just a concern that we'll have to pay attention to.
And the between the ads, big and small, did you guys try grips, knocks, things like that on them?
Yeah, so I don't believe the big ones were like movable at all besides just them walking. The small ones you can grip and knock. But I mean, the small ones you just tank and move around anyway. It's not really hard to move them.
Yeah, more of a like if you can separate them and get them closer to the boss more quickly, but
Yeah.
Especially in a world where the entire raid can be tracked there.
Yep, that is
Although
true.
I don't think they're gonna make that change this tier, but
Yeah, then everybody's gonna re-roll Jack Deere.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Heroic. So the difficulty with heroic intermission is that the eggs are just like all around the room. So I don't actually know if there's a way to tell where the boss is going to spawn before he actually stops doing his charges. So that'll just be kind of annoying because you won't really know where you need to go unless they changed it. On Mythic, it is nice that like wherever the eggs were, the boss is going to spawn on the opposite side of the room. You know exactly where you need to go. You can just stand over there and wait. Any other questions from intermission phase? Reminder again that the boss is either 99% or fully immune during this entire phase, so there is absolutely no reason to do damage to the boss. But you also do not want to kill ads early super far away from the boss.